The jobs report defines this session. American employers cut 23,000 jobs in July against forecasts for a gain of roughly 83,000. Unemployment came in at 4.1%, and revisions stripped a further 103,000 jobs out of May and June. Traders read a weakening labor market as a rate cut becoming more likely. The 10-year Treasury yield fell 5 basis points to 4.63%, and stocks rose. The Nasdaq up nearly 0.9%, the S&P 0.33%. But watch the shape rather than the headline, because the leveraged and debt-funded ways of playing this trade have already given most of it back. The 3x Semiconductor Fund touched 143.92 and sits at 137.43. Oracle touched 147.16 and has slipped to 145.69. The unlevered megacaps held their gains. And here is the thing about that rally. It fired every entry signal on this watch list at once, which means there is not a single name that can trigger a buy on the next bar. The whole board is waiting for a pullback. Equity sits at $5,106.47, down $3.15, a minus 0.06% drift that barely registers on the circuit breaker meter at 0.06% of 5% used, so the book still has room to act. The day's move is noise, not signal, and the account remains 91.7% deployed with $423.47 in cash. The open position is 15 shares of Apple at $312.67, last at $312.20, worth $4,683 with an unrealized minus $7.05, and the synthetic stop at $306.42 leaves 1.89% of headroom before anything forces a decision. No fills since the last briefing. The engine stood pat, and the risk layer blocked a buy of 36 SOXL because its bias is flat, so the book refused to chase a name with no edge. The decision board dated August 7, 2026 ranks Microsoft at priority 6 as the top long, then Nvidia at 5, Tesla at 4, Amazon at 3, Meta at 2, and Apple at 1, with 5 names flat and a 1-position cap, meaning a new long must displace the old one. Since the last briefing, Microsoft rose from 5 to 6, Nvidia from 4 to 5, Tesla from 2 to 4, and Meta moved from flat to long. So the engine is leaning toward a rotation but has not pulled the trigger yet. Microsoft sits at the front of the queue, and the reason is a piece of arithmetic worth spelling out. Its momentum gauge has already crossed above the trigger line, so nothing fires immediately. Every name on this watch list is in that position after the jobs report surge. What separates Microsoft is what happens on the way back down. It needs the smallest pullback of any candidate to reset that gauge, and it can absorb a pullback nearly 70% larger than that before its quality filters would start to fail. Nvidia ranks second, and it earns that place by having 2 ways back into a trade rather than one. Its momentum crossing has gone past, like everything else here, and the pullback needed to reset it is only fractionally smaller than the pullback its quality filters could survive. Call that route a coin flip. The second route is the interesting one. Nvidia trades against the tightest volatility band on this watch list, and price is sitting right on the top edge of it with the bottom edge just 2% below. Tesla moves up the queue on durability rather than on today's move, and the distinction matters. It needs the deepest pullback of any approved name to reset its momentum gauge, the furthest above the trigger line of anything here. The offsetting fact is that it is also the most robustly built. The gap between its fast and slow averages is wide, and it sits more than 2% clear of its long-run trend filter, so the retracement it requires is one its structure would comfortably survive. Amazon is approved to buy but slips down the queue, and the reason is a trap that is easy to miss. On paper, everything is right. Its momentum line is positive, its fast average sits above the slow one, and price is above its long-run trend filter. All 3 boxes ticked, but the crossing that would have bought it has already happened, so a fresh entry needs price to fall back far enough to reset the gauge, and that is where the problem is. Meta becomes eligible to buy today, and the change is specific rather than atmospheric. Until now, only one of its 3 quality filters passed. Its momentum line was well negative, and its fast average sat below the slow one, which meant no signal it generated could ever fire. All 3 now pass. That is a real structural repair, and it is why the stock joins the list at all. It joins at the bottom of it, though, and the reason is that the repair is paper thin.